Hello, welcome to another video from the Animal University channel. Let's go for the video. Ant. Ant, family Formicidae, any of approximately 10,000 species of insects, order Hymenoptera, that are social in habit and live together in organized colonies. Ants occur worldwide but are especially common in hot climates. They range in size from about 2 to 25 millimeters, about 0.08 to 1 inch. Their color is usually yellow, brown, red, or black. A few genera, example Phytol of North America, have a metallic luster. Typically, an ant has a large head and a slender, oval abdomen joined to the thorax, or midsection, by a small waist. In all ants there are either one or two fin-like extensions running across the thin waist region. The antennae are always elbowed. There are two sets of jaws, the outer pair is used for carrying objects such as food and for digging, and the inner pair is used for chewing. Some species have a powerful sting at the tip of the abdomen. There are generally three castes, or classes, within a colony: queens, males, and workers. Some species live in the nests of other species as parasites. In these species, the parasite larvae are given food and nourishment by the host workers. Wheeleriella sanskii is a parasite in the nests of Monomorium salamones, the most common ant of northern Africa. Most ants live in nests, which may be located in the ground or under a rock or built above ground and made of twigs, sand, or gravel. Carpenter ants, Camponotus, are large black ants common in North America that live in old logs and timbers. Some species live in trees or in the hollow stems of weeds. Tailor, or weaver, ants, found in the tropics of Africa, example Tetramorium, make nests of leaves and similar materials held together with silk secreted by the larvae. Dolichoderus, a genus of ants that are found worldwide, glues together bits of animal feces for its nest. The widely distributed pharaoh ant, Monomerium pharaonis, a small yellowish insect, builds its nest either in houses, when found in cool climates, or outdoors, when it occurs in warm climates. Army ants, of the subfamily Doralini, are nomadic and notorious for the destruction of plant and animal life in their path. The army ants of tropical America, Eciton, for example, travel in columns, eating insects and other invertebrates along the way. Periodically, the colony rests for several days while the queen lays her eggs. As the colony travels, the growing larvae are carried along by the workers. Habits of the African driver ant, Doralus, are similar. The red imported fire ant, Solenopsis invicta, introduced into Alabama from South America, had spread throughout the southern United States by the mid-1970s. It inflicts a painful sting and is considered a pest because of the large soil mounds associated with its nests. In some areas the red imported fire ant has been displaced by the invasive tawny crazy ant, also called hairy crazy ant, Nilanderia fulva, a species known in South America that was first detected in the United States, in Texas, in 2002. The hairy crazy ant is extremely difficult to control and is considered to be a major pest and threat to native species and ecosystems. The life cycle of the ant has 4 stages, including egg, larva, pupa, and adult, and spans a period of 8 to 10 weeks. The queen spends her life laying eggs. The workers are females and do the work of the colony, with larger individuals functioning as soldiers who defend the colony. At certain times of the year, many species produce winged males and queens that fly into the air, where they mate. The male dies soon afterward, and the fertilized queen establishes a new nest. The food of ants consists of both plant and animal substances. Certain species, including those of the genus Formica, often eat the eggs and larvae of other ants or those of their own species. Some species eat the liquid secretions of plants. The honey ants, Campanotini, Dolichoderinae, eat honeydew, a byproduct of digestion secreted by certain aphids. The ant usually obtains the liquid by gently stroking the aphid's abdomen with its antennae. Some genera, Leptothorax, eat the honeydew that has fallen onto the surface of a leaf. The so-called Argentine ant, Iridomyrmex humilis, and the fire ant also eat honeydew. Harvester ants, Messer, Paganomyrmex, store grass, seeds, or berries in the nest, whereas ants of the genus Trachomyrmex of South America eat only fungi, which they cultivate in their nests. The Texas leafcutter ant, Atta texana, is a pest that often strips the leaves from plants to provide nourishment for its fungus gardens. The social behavior of the ants, along with that of the honeybees, is the most complex in the insect world. Slave-making ants, of which there are many species, have a variety of methods for enslaving the ants of other species. The queen of Bothrioomyrmex decapitans of Africa, for example, allows herself to be dragged by Taponoma ants into their nest. She then bites off the head of the Taponoma queen and begins laying her own eggs, which are cared for by the enslaved Taponoma workers. Workers of the slave-making ant Protomognathus americanus raid nests of Temnothorax ants, stealing the latter's pupae. The pupae are raised by P. americanus to serve as slaves, and, because the Temnothorax pupae become imprinted on the chemical odor of the slave-making ants, the captive ants forage and routinely return to the slave-making ant nest. 10 interesting facts about ants. Ants have superhuman strength. Yes, you did read that correctly. Ants are ridiculously strong. They have the ability to carry between 10 and 50 times their own body weight. The amount an ant can carry depends on the species. The Asian weaver ant, for example, can lift 100 times its own mass. Why are ants strong? This amazing strength is a result of their small size, believe it or not. The Arizona State University reports that because of their small size, ants' muscles have a greater cross-sectional area relative to their body size compared to larger animals. This means they can produce more force. Ants don't have lungs. Due to their small size, ants don't have the room to accommodate a complex respiratory system such as ours. Instead, they have their own ways of respiration to help transport oxygen around their bodies. How do ants breathe? Ants breathe in oxygen through spiracles, which are a series of holes located on the sides of their bodies. The spiracles are connected through a network of tubes which help distribute the oxygen to almost every cell in their body. An ant's movement helps the oxygen to circulate through the tubes, with the released carbon dioxide exiting through said tubes as well. Ants don't have ears. Unlike other pests such as rats, ants don't have ears. But that doesn't mean they are deaf. How do ants hear? Ants use vibrations to hear, using them when foraging for food or as an alarm signal. Ants use the vibrations in the ground to hear by picking them up in the subgenual organ, which is located below the knee. There are a lot of ants in the world. The phrase "a lot" is an understatement when describing the amount of ants currently in existence. To put things in perspective, it is estimated that there are around 1 million ants for every one human in the world. Ants have pretty much conquered the entire globe. With the exception of Antarctica, the Arctic, and a handful of islands, there is at least one native species of ant found on every continent. Entomologist Ted Schultz says that ant presence across the world is arguably the greatest success story in the history of terrestrial metazoa. Some ant species are asexual. Rather than going down the traditional route of reproduction, some Amazonian ants have taken to reproduce via cloning. It is reported that the queen ants copy themselves to genetically produce daughters, resulting in a colony with no male ants. Ants are farmers. Farmers. You may be thinking, what? But it's true, besides humans, ants are the only creatures that will farm other creatures. Just like we raise cows, sheep, pigs, chicken, and fish in order to obtain a food source, ants will do the same with other insects. The most common occurrence of this is with aphids. Ants will protect aphids from natural predators, and shelter them in their nests from heavy rain showers in order to gain a constant supply of honeydew. Ants have 2 stomachs. That's right, ants have 2 stomachs, and it's not because they are greedy. One of their stomachs is for holding food for their own consumption, and the second one is to hold food to be shared with other ants. This process is known as trophallaxis and allows an ant colony to work extremely efficiently. It allows for the ants who forage for food to feed those which stay behind and tend to the duties of the queen and the nest. Ants can swim. Well, not all ants can swim, it depends on the species. They haven't mastered the butterfly or breaststroke yet, but they do have the ability to survive in water by using their own version of the doggy paddle, and can also float for long periods of time. To put it simply, ants are amazing survivors. Not only can they hold their breath underwater for long periods of time, but they will also build lifeboats to survive floods. It can be especially dangerous when fire ants do this. Ants are slave makers. This may sound strange, but hear us out. Some species of ant, such as the Polyergus lucidus, are known as slave-making ants. They invade neighboring ant colonies, capturing its inhabitants and forcing them to work for them. This process is known as slave raiding. Slave-making ants are specialized to parasite a single species or a group of related species which are often close relatives to them. The captured ants will work as if they were in their own colony, while the slave-making workers will only concentrate on replenishing their labor force. Slave-making ants come in two formats: permanent social parasites and facultative slave makers. Permanent social parasites rely on the enslaved ants throughout their lives, whilst facultative slave makers do not. Ants are as old as dinosaurs. A study from Harvard and Florida State Universities discovered that ants first rose during the Cretaceous period around 130 million years ago. They have survived the Cretaceous Tertiary K/T extinction that killed the dinosaurs as well as the Ice Age. I hope you enjoyed this video enough and it was informative. Please like the video and subscribe the channel. Introduce us to your friends. Good luck to you all.